So I want to tell you a story, and this is the story of web development, from where web pages were just a simple, static, ugly looking page to what we have today, where whole applications are run from web browsers. An example can be your favorite financial system. These days, everyone basically use the web application rather than the software that you needed to buy, install on your computer, and so forth. Many reasons for it. First of all, is you can access your data anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection and a web browser. The other thing is you can add people to that software, and the software, of course, is written so that you can have different permissions for different users. You, for instance, can see and do everything in your financial system, but you can have one of your uh, team members just be able to create invoices, quotes, and so forth. So let's dive in, and I'll tell you this whole story. And by the way, everything that I'm telling you here is still used till today. And the first one is straight HTML. This is how web pages looked like in the old days. The very first website was built with the language called HTML. And you can think of it as you look at the bottom right. HTML is the underlying skeleton of your website. For instance, you have something like hello world, and these two tags h1 and slash h1 defines that this hello world is a header. So it is a bigger font, it might be bold, and so forth. Then we have another line of code, P and slash P. So P means it's the beginning of a paragraph, and slash P means it's the end of the paragraph. Just as H1 means it's the beginning of a header, and slash H1 is the end of the header. Do you need to learn it and know it? No, not at all. It's of no importance. HTML pages were stored as .html files like index.html or home.html were your first page when somebody visits your website. So what happens is, and we will look at the next image, is that in memory, in the browser memory, there's a file that gets created that's called the document object model. Uh, and that then is displayed as a web page. The DOM is very important, and we will look at it in a minute. But what was the magic of the time is that you could create hyperlinks, meaning you can have 4, 5, 6 pages, 100 pages on your web page, and you can go from the one page to the next page by clicking on what's called a hyperlink. It was normally blue and underlined, so you know that you can just take your mouse, click on it, and it will take you to another page like about us, company details, and things like that. Very old hat. Yes, so this is my notes here at the bottom as I talk to you. We will demonstrate all this live in the next video. In the next video, I'm going to create a basic HTML page. Then from there on, we're going to move and add more technologies until we have what we can call a very good professional looking website. Then we're going to move on and start creating or adding data into into things like databases, and we start now creating an application, and I'm taking you through the whole process. So the DOM tree, uh, now this is the whole structure of your website that is in memory and that is displayed in your browser. Now, why this is important is that as technologies moved on, instead of having to refresh your whole web page by saying refresh, I can change this image on the fly by changing it in the memory that then will change it automatically on the page that you see. So you will work with the DOM tree a bit, as long as you understand that what you see on your screen comes from a memory structure that's called a DOM tree. So you can think of the HTML code is the blueprint, and the DOM is the actual house built in memory. So the whole thing is built in memory, and then the HTML is displayed, and from the HTML you see the headings is bigger than the paragraph font and so forth. So that's the DOM tree. We look at that in detail, so don't worry too much if you don't understand it now. Just understand that the whole structure of that whole web page is in different sections, and that sections is the whole structure and in memory. To understand it a little bit better, you'll always start a web page with a HTML and then way at the bottom a slash HTML to say there's the end of your web page. Then you'll have a body, and what's inside the body is the things that you can see. For instance, P for content, images, div will be showing a little block and things like that. Very old hat, but very important to understand, because these old technologies has not been thrown out. It was just built upon. So there's still HTML. The DOM is still there. So of course, you know how people are. Look at that page and say, man, it's ugly. How can we make it look nicer? How can we make it prettier? And that is where cascading style sheets come in. And what happens is, normally you had this ugly button. For instance, here it's a gray button, you know, with wording in it, not very appealing. A style sheet can take this button and put color to it, put a background to it, even make the corners round and so forth. So that is style sheets. So on the one hand, you have all this HTML headers and so forth, even a little HTML that will say this is a button. And then style sheets came along and said, all right, let's make this buttons around. Let's even put maybe a shadow to it. Let's change the font inside the button and so forth. So CSS is styling, making things look good. But the problem is, there was a cascade created. That's why it's called a cascading style sheet. So you can have a parent style, and then you can have child styles under that, and then have grandchild's elements even under that. If you make a change to the parent style, it will go and influence all other styles. And this is, of course, you trying to remember what is the parent, how did the parent look like. Then you added a child. So what's in the child style sheet? And then you added grandchildren, trying to remember now what was in the child, what is in the parent. It became very difficult to work with. Now, if you have 100 buttons on your web page, you have to do this 100 times. So what happened was, they said, I can't remember who was the person that started it, but they said, how about we just take all the styles and the child styles and so forth and put it in a separate file, meaning we can take, for instance, the style called BTN that was normally stand for button, and say, all right, if I have a button and I say the style, and you can see the HTML there, it says button class BTN. BTN will mean go to the file called styles.cs, look inside it, and there you will find how the button should look like. So it is blue, uh, the background of the button, the color of the text is white, it's got a radius and so forth. Um, so this is already something better, and it's something that you're going to use from the beginning when you're going to work with styles. You're going to tell Cursor, and we're going to do it in the next lesson, create me a global style page, right? And everything that we do, we're going to put in this global file, so that if we want to change the buttons on the website, we go to this one file, make that one adjustment, and it will affect everything on the web page. If this sounds, yeah, but I want to change button styles and so forth for different pages, you're not following good graphical user interface practices. You want everything to be constant. The button should not be blue now and green later. If it doesn't make sense to you, go and read up on graphical user interfaces and experiences of what customers want. But you can have 3 different buttons: green ones, blue one, yellow ones, and then change the blue ones to red ones and vice versa. But it's not good practice. It confuses people, right? So the next thing that came along is what's called Tailwind. And Tailwind really is still just uh, Java or CSS, but made so that you do not have to worry about all this children and children processes and so forth. You put everything just in one line, and that is the end of it. So I'm going to demonstrate this to you in the next lesson, and then after that we're going to use to the do JavaScript and things like that. So I'll see you in the next lesson, where we'll roll up our sleeves and do some HTML and style sheets. I'll see you